We live, we live. We in a selfie era. We here, we live. Where y'all at? Where y'all at? Let's get it. Cindy, there you at? There you at? There you at? There you are. Yes, cheese. What's up? What's up? Welcome, welcome to the live. We're reclaiming our roots. There
Hey,
she is.
can you hear
What?
me?
I can hear you. I can hear you. I've got your head cut off though.
Oh man, hold on. Let me fix my setup here. Uh, um,
Of course, my
yeah,
computer just decided to restart.
I have this little um
There you go.
microphone thing. Here,
Yes, for the upgrade.
right here I am. Boom, bam.
Boom.
So
What's up?
exciting. My head's still cut off. I can't get a good angle. It's
No,
okay.
right there is perfect.
Awesome.
What's up, Sporty Delicious? We've got one visitor with us so far, y'all. Join us.
Yes. Bring it in, bring it in.
Don't
So
ignore that
exciting.
notification.
This is my most favorite topic. I could talk about it all day, every day.
Listen, we might have to do a part two. This this
Maybe
this topic gets deep.
it does. There's so many layers to
Yes.
it. Yeah.
Oh, I'm just trying to pull up my notes, okay? Because this topic is sensitive. And I'm like, please tell me you didn't delete my stuff. There it goes.
Right.
Yo, give me 2 minutes, okay? Not even 2 minutes, 2 seconds. I'll be right back.
Okay, okay. Who's here with me? Leave a comment. Um, where you from? Very excited to be here again. All things spirituality. Exciting. We in the building. Yeah. Just kidding. Bring it in, bring it in. Where's all my peoples at? Gosh. Late per usual.
Come
I'm
back,
call
come back.
I'm calling all my peoples. I said, where y'all at? You're freaking late. Always freaking late.
Yo, listen, we were 4 minutes late, so let them be a little late, okay?
All right, 4 more minutes. I'm
Otherwise,
just
thanks
kidding.
for watching the playback. Let me
Right.
know if you're watching the playback. Give me a one love. Give me one. Can you find that emoji? Because that might be working y'all too hard.
Love it.
What's going on, y'all?
Yeah,
We
you
are
have a good day.
here.
A nice winter day for you.
Yo, okay, do you see? We both got sweaters
I
on.
got my hoodie on. I'm glad I
Yes.
didn't put this away with my spring cleaning. Like,
Can we talk about how when we were growing up and we were in these times and we were like, dang, they can't turn up the heat. They can't turn up the heat in this house. Now I'm like, put that sweater on. Get you a blanket.
you can't even turn up the heat. Yo,
I'm like, we
yeah.
ain't turning that heat back on.
I was dropping hints this morning, like, it feels like winter out there. Nobody
No,
wants
this
to say anything, like, hint, hint, put the heater on. But yeah,
my spirit wasn't born for this kind of weather.
facts,
Speaking
facts.
of spirituality, we're
But
reclaiming our roots in this conversation.
power to the people, to the original souls.
Yeah, y'all, we're buying y'all some time. I'm about to actually log on to Facebook too, real quick before we dive in, because there's some stuff I want us to talk about, to share, because we're not just talking about the Western ideology around spirituality and religion. And I mostly also want to talk about why we don't talk about spirituality in our society, because it don't come up in the household, that's for sure. So culturally, it's kind of like wild. Like, was there an erasure, like a serious forgetting? Because it's like we just start at the point of life in the Americas when it comes to like biblical, and not probably not because there's the Roman times and things of that sort, but I'm saying way back, like ancient, okay? When it's about the spirits, the energies. Did you ever get talked about when we talk about mental health, the emotions and your thoughts and your feelings? Who talked to you about energy, vibrations, frequencies? Anybody?
Yeah, I think you're never, or at least for me, I was never taught like, I don't know if you heard the quote, you're a spiritual being having a human experience, and you're
Mhm.
not a human being having a spiritual experience. Like you
Right,
are a spiritual being. So the fact
right.
that like the lines between I think like spirituality and religion are blurred. So I
Yeah,
grew up very religious. So like, you're taught you're gonna die, do good to go to heaven or hell. But it's like, yo, your spirit never dies. It's this energy that can't ever
yeah,
die, right? So like, there's a lot that no, we weren't. I was never taught. Learn that, and depending on who you tell, people are like, that's stupid. But like, yeah, I believe you lived many lives. Some will call that reincarnation. But like,
reincarnation.
it's I think it's a sin. I feel like Catholics don't believe in it, I don't think. But there's some things we were just taught, like, don't exist, don't believe in it. But was that the setup?
That was absolutely the setup, girl, because that's where the control comes in, no? That's how they gain control, maintain control.
Yeah. I mean, one thing that the movie said was like, if you try to take people over with guns, you'll run out of money. But if you try to take them over like mentally, you can succeed. So like, I think that foundation of like, who's your God? Your God is not you, doesn't look like you can't do what he does. It's a
Mm.
he. You know what I mean? Like giving you all of these rules. That's like step one to erasing somebody's mind and making them mentally like destroying them for control.
Yeah, and it started in the Bible, right? I mean, to my understanding. And listen, I am just now really starting to take a deeper dive into spirituality versus religion. I've always been the one to say I'm spiritual, right? Because I would like to know what spirituality means to you, right? Or anyone who wants to share in the chat. Spirituality to me took out all the politics, right? It took out all the constructs that come with a human bias, right? People's interests, and just connected me straight to God. And that felt to me less complicated. So that's what I leaned into because I grew up obviously Catholic, obviously because Cape Verdeans, for the most part, are born and raised Catholic. My dad just told me the other day, he's like, I was born Catholic, I'm going to die Catholic.
Yo, my
I'm
mom said
like,
that to me too. Must be the line that they were taught to say.
I'm like, dude, you don't even go to church. Stop it. No, I was kidding. But the church and God lives within you, right? Regardless. But they went from Catholic to I explored Christian and even Rastafarian, in college and then non-denominational and Christian is I think what I most, if I was gonna choose a religion, where I would most feel aligned, I guess. But then I don't want to choose because it's me and the source. So that's the spiritual, that's the universe, right? That's the
Right,
masculine and the feminine. It's not he or she. It's both.
right.
You
The
know?
divine. Have you heard of the Kabbalah?
No.
So I discovered this recently, maybe within the past like 2 months. Well, I knew about it from before, but I think within the past like 2 or 3 months, I've been
Mm-hmm.
diving deeper. So basically, it's like this foundation of like, your soul goes through lessons for the reason that you're born, like whatever it is. everybody has their own lesson, your own like traumas, whatever you got to go through. Um, and it was like, so basically, it was like, you can say it was like the first religion, but it was like a way of life. So the way this dude breaks it down, and I love it. His name is David Goyam.
Mm.
Dope. Him and his wife, cheap plug, David. Him and his wife, they own Mary Ruth Organics. And they do all of this testing. So if I'm ever gonna buy an organic and they're liquid, so your body can like absorb it easier, I'm
Mm-hmm.
buying theirs based on who this dude is and the fact that they do all of this testing. So yeah, but basically his thing was like when Moses was out there, you know, climbing the rock, getting the Ten Commandments, when Abraham was out there, did they say like, I'm a Christian, I'm a Catholic, I'm Jewish? Like, no, they were just preaching this divine oneness. So like we came around and maybe for control, maybe for whatever whoever thought of it wanted to do with it. But now we're saying this is Catholic, this is what you do, this is right, this is wrong. But like back in the day, they didn't walk around saying like, like know what I'm trying to say? It
Yeah,
didn't exist
definitely.
back then. We made it up.
Definitely, we made it up to serve our interests, right? In different groups. Again, this is layered, this is complex. But you know what I in my recent digging and investigating, because this is the thing, y'all. We are one human, right? We have our whole self, but there are many selves within our whole self, right? So there are many parts of us, and some parts we are more expert in than others. And so for me, the area of spirituality and religion has been something that, I mean, of course, I did my exploration in college years or whatnot as I'm forming my identity and attitude and all that stuff. But to really dig in deep to like say you read the Bible, you know, like chapter by chapter. And of course, I'm not even there yet. I found a source that I think is amazing. It's called open bible.info, and you can literally you can do like a Google search inside the Bible. It's like what does the Bible say about this, and what are you interested in knowing more about? And then it pulls up all these scriptures related to it.
Oh, I love that.
So yeah, it's I love it. Open bible.info. And let me tell you, I've been listening to some things about the Bible and the history of the Bible and things of that sort, and I learned, and it makes sounds very logical, makes a lot of sense to me, that God, when God created the world and people, okay, and you know, we wanted to talk about how Adam and Eve, it was the name of the first ships, right? That we learned that in the documentary, the first ships that
The first
transported
people,
the first. Say it again.
Adam and Eve, were the first people who aborted, got on the ships, the slave ships. They were so the documentary said the name Adam and the name Eve were the first names of the two people. They had to have a man and a woman who boarded the slave ship.
Oh, I thought it was the ship that was named after Adam and Eve. No?
Um, Now I
Now
don't
we're
know.
gonna need, yeah, now we need to do a fact check
Right.
because
I thought it was the name of the people who boarded the ship, not the names of the ship. Interesting.
the people, think about it, the people boarding the ship willingly or captured.
Depends on who you ask.
I understood it as that was the name of the first ships because they were doing this in the honor and name of the Bible and Jesus, and that's how they justified this needing to happen into these particular people, right? Because we were inferior. Um, but anyway, my point was about Adam and Eve and the fact that God had spiritual. children, right? And you hear all of their names in the Bible, in the stories, and in the different chapters. I'm just like beginner in this game, so I can't tell y'all, like I can't cite the scriptures and the chapters yet, you know? Like this is just I'm in real time processing. But from what I understood that there were two sets. He had children in human form and in the spiritual form, because they talk about the realms, right? And think this different dimensions. And people think it's like hocus pocus, or you can really take the time to understand, okay, when it comes to spirituality, when they talk about spiritual warfare, okay, they talked about the coming of Satan and bad versus good. It was because God wanted to give all his children in both the realms the will, the freedom to have the will to do as they please. And now when the humans go and do the wrong things against, you know, God's commandments and ways of being and upholding his greatness, then that's where we start to see the bad things, right? That's when the negative stuff happens. So it ultimately it re-empowers and reinforces that we do have the control. It is our choice, right? Whether we're consciously or unconsciously choosing, choices are being made every day and they shape your future.
Mm-hmm.
It's either you're going to consciously be a participant, be aware, set intentions, get on the right vibrations. Do you, like, I don't know who out there is exploring visualization, manifestations, and things of that sort. But often you hear about mental health conversations, you hear affirmations, positive thinking. But if your vibrations and your energy is opposite that of what you speak, the universe responds is to your vibration, it's not to what you say. Do you understand? And when the thing you say doesn't happen, it is your fault. It could be because of you or not because of you. Because there's some people who have that contradiction in their spirit, what they're saying they want versus what they feel and vibrate, versus the people who are actually wanting to get on a different frequency but are not aligning the vibration to their desire. Because who talks to us about that?
Mm-hmm.
Our parents can't talk to us about it because they're so deep in cat, and I'll speak for for myself and my culture, right? The Catholic way of being that mexer com espírito, like, oh my God, don't mess with spirits because it's like a
Yeah, it's a lot
yeah.
we're just not told. That you come find out after the fact, and then you realize, like, wow, if only I knew my thoughts, my words, my feelings,
My feelings.
it's all tied into like the world around me. Yeah, this is a cheap plug, but I have a friend who I work with, and we're doing a podcast together. It's called The U Inverse. We started recording today, so it'll be released in the next couple of months. But
Love
basically,
that.
along the lines of like the universe is the U inverse. So depending on what you say, how you feel, it's all like a reflection of you. So it's pretty deep.
Yeah.
Uh, there's this idea. So some people want to believe it, some people don't. But I think we were religion keeps you, so maybe we should backtrack the difference between religion and spirituality, because religion kind of keeps you with like these are the rules, these are your limitations and the boundaries, but spirituality is still has rules because there are some laws. You do this versus that, good, bad, karma. Um but shoot, I lost my train of thought. But yeah, there's a big difference, and it was like intentionally. Oh, I do all say all that to come back to the fact that like we have like God, we are godlike. We can create our own reality. God is an
We are go
external.
yes. Go ahead, keep going. I agree. Yes.
Um, right. So like you don't realize like, hey, if I am God, if I am godlike, if I have some of it its skills and traits. So I can say, um, I want pizza for dinner, and then boom, it appears. Yeah, you go and get it. So like some things that you say, you gotta go get it. Actually, everything you say, you gotta go and get it. You can't say I want $1 million and sit there and wait for it to appear in
Exactly. You have
3 days.
to put action to it,
Action.
inspired action. Because then the universe not only hears you in your message, but then you're affirming that in your action and that energy you're putting out to the universe,
Yeah. And then on
right?
the opposite side, you go and say like, "Oh, my life sucks. I never win." Yo, you're never gonna win a
You're
contest.
right. Yes, you are right. Your life sucks.
So don't blame God. Blame your own.
Blame
Blame the God in you. Don't
the
blame like an
God in
external
you.
God because it's
Exactly.
yeah. So yeah. So if you had known that at the age of like 5, 6, 7, who would you be today? Not that there's anything wrong with who you are. However, you would
Well,
have absolutely zero limitations.
so listen, that brings it to the next layer, okay? Because we cannot negate the fact that we are indoctrinated, meaning we are conditioned to think and believe certain things. And it's not just for us, it's also counteracted by the cultural, right? The cultural socializations that happen. So it's like we don't have any control of it as human beings. Absolutely not between the ages of 0 to 7. Everything that's downloaded in us, we have no control, zero control. And we don't even know what's literally under that surface until we start looking for it to undig it, to uncover it, right? And then after that, you go into institutions, into community centers, and other places where there are particular norms and expectations and enforcements and reinforcements or rejection depending on how you show up, based on how people perceive you that you're supposed to be. All of that creates confusion and suffrage, like, and anxiety and all this stuff that we deal with mental health. But when we're like missing this link to spirituality, which is the power of self healing, the power of self talk and self coach. Instead, we want everybody to go seek validation outside because we know out there they'll never be satisfied with what's been able to be given to you from the external, right?
Right.
Right. So how do you even understand if you knew this, like you said, at 6, 7 years old, it's still going to be difficult for you to really know who you are because you have to start focusing on remembering. So this is the other thing for me that I'm in, like, poof, new mind frame, new thinking, because in our culture, tradition, and in the society here in America. And whenever I talk about this culture in America, I'm like talking between two worlds because I have the Cape Verdean strong tradition and cultures, and then the American, right? When you're taught, because now I got noise in the background, but I'm losing my train of thought here. Um, how do you know when you're not taught about that spiritual side of things? You're not taught to really understand who you are, like this thing we call life. How do I understand these voices I hear in my head? How do I value the temple that I have as a human being? Okay, to be able to even get to my biggest potential. But the thing that I was getting to was that thing of not trying to become. In America, it's always like, who do you want to be when you grow up? What is your interest? What's the major you want to study when you go to college? What is the dream life you're gonna have? Where do you want to buy a house and how much kids do you want to have and those type of things. But nobody's telling, so we're always on this path for searching and discovering and trying to find. Okay, and that shit's exhausting, especially when you're working in a system that has a hierarchy where you're at the bottom of that totem, like as far as value in a human being. Okay, so what we need to do and what I've been trying to do now is remember. not discover or become. And I do have Michelle Obama's book Becoming, but it's not about becoming no more, right? It's about remembering who I am, where I come from, but remembering what I was meant to do when I was created to be on this earth. That's been everything for me right now, because that just tells me that, yo, you don't need 20 different degrees, certificates, titles, and all this stuff. You just need to know yourself better. You need to know what's your gift. And everything you need is already exists within me. I don't need to go seek and go develop and go. I just need to be. I need to align, my frequency, especially because I could talk a good game all day long. But when I sit with myself, when I stop performing, being on for people, what do I really believe? How do I really feel about myself? What do I really think I'm capable of doing? That's what the universe responds to.
Yeah, those are some questions people don't want to ask.
And you have to
They'd
ask.
rather be distracted.
Yeah, it's a lot. You're right. A lot easier to be distracted. It's a lot easier, and it's like the comfort that you know versus the discomfort you don't know.
Right.
It's not comfort because you're getting comfortable being uncomfortable. But how long we gonna be uncomfortable and just survive in this world?
Yeah. Yeah, so like words, we've been lied to with the real meanings of a lot of words. Um, so the word sin isn't like, it's not a sin to like talk back or like to kill somebody. Those are wrong things. But the word sin, well, it is a sin is to go against your own soul.
Mm-hmm.
So like by like murdering somebody, yep, that's a sin, but it's not because you did something bad, it's going against your own soul. So by not like following your soul's purpose, your design, your whatever, you're also like sinning like against yourself. Like you're not using these gifts you had to do whatever you're supposed to do. Too busy on this rat race, like
Yeah.
chasing the next person to love you, chasing the job to like keep
Chasing the
money,
title.
yeah, chasing the
Yeah.
title, chasing the degrees, chasing all these things when it's like, stop
To
sinning.
yeah, to give ourselves value and validation,
Right.
sense of direction.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Just to bring it back to the podcast, which I think is, no, not the podcast. Yeah, our
The,
podcast and the
the
documentary.
documentary,
Uh,
yeah.
there was another thing that I thought that I had learned about spirituality through there. Oh shoot, outside of Adam and Eve. So the Vatican was created in like, I can only really talk about the Catholic religion because that's what I am. So I would never like speak on a different one without like giving the disclosure that I don't know what I'm talking about, or like I wouldn't do it. But I used to be
Yeah.
Catholic. Boom. The Vatican was built in about 1900s, 1913, around that time. Um, and the Vatican is the only, not the only place, but the one place that has the most like teachings, books. They have a whole Egyptology section. So if we want to learn that like the Egyptians were the first people, they're super smart, everything that they could do, why would the Vatican, like why would this religious place have a whole section where they like studied, where they took all of the books, all the information, and they locked it away here, so only special people can go and like read these things. So that was just like kind of crazy because what
Mm-hmm.
do the Egyptians know? Obviously, a lot. And then why do y'all have all of the secrets? Why doesn't the rest of the world have it? Hmm. Maybe
That
to
must
tell
be
a
a
story,
rhetorical question.
tell a version of your story, white Jesus. Just kidding.
that, that must be a rhetorical question. No,
I didn't mean to ask. I already know the answer.
yeah.
But yeah, that was very eye opening for
Yeah,
me.
that's interesting. Yeah. We definitely touched upon that in our reactions to
Mhm.
to the documentary. It's just interesting because spirituality is the original. When I have they're naming it as the unseen science, and the science is seen as spirituality. The African spirituality is a foundation of African civilization.
Yeah. This is doesn't really tie into anything, but it's a thought that just came to my head about the soul. So like you know how like your body is your body, but people can still carry it. Like when you're alive, people can like pick you up. But like dead weight, when you don't have a soul in your body is this thing that like nobody can carry. So it's
Mm,
kind of, I don't know why I just had this idea of like your soul is so limitless and like light and just because when it's gone out of your body, like you're literally the strongest person needs another person to lift you up.
yeah, man, it makes me think of how death had to come into life. At least the stories that I'm learning in the Bible, um, that everybody had to come die, and then it's connecting to the resurrection of Jesus. Of course, taking that um, dying for us for our sins, and then we have the free will. So I just don't like how religion is introduced or not introduced. It's kind of like a matter of fact type of thing, and it's supposed to be an automatic thing that you know as a human versus something that you learn and develop and sort of make sense of for yourself and use as a compass for your guide in this world. And I just don't know if we're not having these conversations intentionally in the schools. And these conversations, I mean, like that exploratory type interrogation that you have on your own person and unique skills and gifts. Again, I keep coming back to the gifts. If we're not doing it in schools because it's the work of the families and the households, but then the families and the households have been conditioned in a way to think in inferior ways, to think in a deficit mindset versus an asset mindset or like a growth mindset. Where are we getting it? We're getting it later in our years when you finally like are tired of being sick and tired and you've got to do something different to get a different result, and you start listening to you start digging in and start feeding your mind new stuff. That's why I'm so obsessed with learning. I'm literally obsessed. And lately it's been over consuming. And everything's supposed to be a balance. But then it's just like when you think about your body and your temple, your vessel, like what you feed it, you become. What you feed your mind will grow. What you feed your mind will influence what you think. And what you think is going to impact how you behave. It's going to shape your attitude, which is going to impact how you behave, how you treat other people, how you treat yourself. And you can hide from me. You can front online all day, every day. But the universe, there's no curtains for the universe for you to hide behind.
Right.
And the proof is always in the pudding. It's always in the pudding. And if it don't show up today, you best believe tomorrow it will show up. Your test, Diddy is a clear indication
Oh,
of that.
right.
I'm just saying
Yeah.
that. I am just saying. It's just like having this conversation the other day about, because socioeconomic status, class is another factor of power structures and things of that sort. But it's like, oh, the people who are gaming the system. You scheming and making little white lies about what your situation is so you can get what you need to get without doing it legit. One, your conscience is crazy, is wild because you're not thinking about the people who actually need it, who you're now taking money from. Okay. And then um The thing is, eventually, like that karma, that energy you're putting in the universe, that's what's gonna end up like coming back to you or being attracted to you because that's what you're putting out there.
Right.
So then 5 years from now, 7 years from now, you're still struggling. Things are still not working out for you. You always seem to come up short. And you're like, then you start questioning God. You start questioning the universe, doubting God and the universe. That's the control, though. That's the God in you. And which way do you want to show up? What's worth having and what's not, you know?
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, it's a big game. Like,
It's a
you
game.
have a path.
And
You're
you
going
will
to get
time
to your
out. Let me
path.
tell
Regardless of like what it is, you're going to get to point Z. But how you get there is your free will. So
Yeah,
like, yeah, and if you keep doing the wrong thing, it's like then you can't be shocked by what's created because you clearly have been making bad decisions for 10 years. So
right.
now that you're here, like, don't blame God, blame yourself for every bad decision. But you're going to get to where you need to get to. Now you just have to go through that point to like learn, because how would you know what was bad if you like, how would you know hate if you didn't know love, or like
Exactly.
how would you know love if you didn't experience hate? So how would you know one side if you didn't experience that?
Yeah.
Some people got to hit rock bottom. I'm glad I
Yeah.
never had to hit and learn those lessons. I've learned lessons in different ways, but yeah, my rock bottom don't look that bad. My spirit was like, no, 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 we learned our lessons, we don't need it that bad.
We yeah, and I think that's the case too when you're learning the same lesson over and over. It's not necessarily the lesson sometimes. It could just be the way in which you're showing up to and for like in the image of God, that you're not totally so that's the other thing, like, right, like as much as it is needed to be empowered and strong and will, that surrendering is also as powerful and much needed, because like when you're in the hallway and you're making those changes and you've got to give time for the universe to change and meet your frequency where you are now, and you need to be consistent about it. You could really lose faith. Like that's where your faith really counts, because you're not seeing in front of you what you are creating in your head, right? And that's when people start saying like that's hocus pocus. It's because you haven't seen it. It has like your reality hasn't caught up to this new frequency, but that's because your present day is a reflection again of decisions and choices you made previous.
Yeah, it takes a couple months to catch up.
Yeah, so you've got to give that time, and that's where your test of faith comes. Like that's when you say you walk by faith and not by sight,
Right,
you know? Stuff is deep, but there's so much to learn and to untangle, to understand. When they talk about Yahweh and they talk about the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, like there's a lot of nuance in there and understanding God. And but it's been really empowering to be reminded, to remember that I am God. Like the ocean, they say you will go with the waves. Like you don't need to go with the waves. You need to realize that you are the ocean,
right.
right? So we
Yeah,
have to like awaken that giant within us, and have awareness first, right? And then we set intention. And then we take action. Clearly, I've been listening to a new book. I'm just saying.
that's so funny.
I'm just saying, you've got like, oh my goodness. And this other practice that I learned too, that I'm loving, and I'm telling you, I've got to go back and repeat because I listen to a lot of stuff. I'm into Audible. I've done a lot of like reading, but honestly, when I read, I fall asleep and I'm too tired because I'm hustling too much to try to like have a moment to read an hour, I'd be knocked out. But listening, listening, I'm listening to a lot of stuff and how to clean your energy. Like when they say protect your energy because it's your greatest commodity, like it's your greatest commodity because it is. And it's so true because when we always say like, "Oh, I'm tired," when you speak over yourself in that way, you reinforce poor low vibrations. Do you understand that? Like our energy is not built just on sleep. Not because like, oh, I need those 8 hours of sleep and I'm gonna be like, like imagine how you could be super tired and then you get the opportunity to do something you really love, or you have a trip the next day. How come your energy is like, yo, you can't even sleep?
Right.
It's that energy. So every morning when I wake up, I've started doing this literally this week. So I'm not saying this because I've been doing it forever. It's just I'm in those transitional phases. But putting my hand on my heart, taking deep breaths as I close my eyes, and asking myself, what is the highest um, emotion that I'm intend to start my day with this morning?
I love
And
that.
you, right? And usually it's always it's either gratitude or joy, because for me, aside from gratitude and joy, like what could be higher than that? So then you take that energy. There's also, even for the ladies out here listening, there is a and I'm of course I'm going to forget the term, but it speaks to the power of our sexual beings and our womb area, and how you can focus on that energy and transform that energy into your heart and spirit so that working in that high vibration. Then the other thing at night of cleaning the energy is like before you go to bed, just take a minute to lay there, close your eyes, and say that you release all negative energy that you've come across today, or you release any. Okay. And so that is, it's again, it's a clearing. And I think it's the same thing with like that I talk about in my work with diversity, equity, inclusion, leadership, that you have to be conscious in your mind every day. Like we can't show up to these conversations like our regular selves. We have to like remind our minds that we're going to be intentional. We're going to be non-judgmental. We're going to give compassion. We're going to be open, because our automatic mind comes from bias, comes from beliefs and thoughts and values that I didn't necessarily instill into my own head originally, you know? So you do that to be intentional. So it's the same thing with energy, and they don't teach us that. We go around being exposed to all kinds of energy everywhere we go. It's not just germs. It's not just the COVID. Just kidding.
Oh, that's so funny. Well, yeah, everything's a frequency. Like you
Yeah.
can, so let's say there's like germs on top of like the kitchen counter or whatever. Two people can touch it. One person gets sick, the other person just gets the sniffles. So like
Yeah.
if you're already vibing high, like the cold kind of can't touch you,
Right.
whereas it can affect the other person because they're sick,
They're
so
low
it's like, and
vibration.
that means like your body's healthy, like your immune system's on point so you won't get sick. But it's also like, if that's the case, then you have like a good spirit, like your probably
Right.
your mental is probably also good. um so yeah, so I believe like disease, like that's all a frequency. Like if you're in that frequency, you're gonna get it, but if you're not, then it can't touch you. So it is all energy.
It's all energy and the intake, right? And that intake is not just solid foods or liquids.
Yeah, it's everything. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was actually watching this other documentary. It was like called Superhuman something something. I forget the rest of it. But shout out to BTV because I fucking love Tubi TV.
No
But
way.
it was on Tubi. But it was interesting. So they have different technologies that can show different things. So one of them was showing the power of your words on like your auric field. So like they're able to measure this field outside of you, and it's like whatever. However they're able to measure it, they can measure it. So they had this woman say her favorite color was yellow. All of a sudden, on this computer screen, all of the everything was turning yellow. And then they're like, "What is the your least favorite color?" She says burgundy because blah 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 blah, and she's like feeling it, like she hates this color. Everything was turning burgundy. When she talked about something she loved, her aura was like this pretty color, and it had like these patterns. So it was like circles, like it was just very symmetrical. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, so like you're like just by how you carry yourself, you can like change the energy around
In
you
that space.
almost.
Yeah.
So you can like people will smoke cigarettes and never get lung cancer because like they're not asshole people. Like they're probably smoke like once a day, are in good spirits, they eat right, they're doing everything else good, but they just smoke the cigarette. Whereas this other person is angry, everybody
Yeah.
sucks, like you know what I mean, and they're gonna go get the cancer, obviously.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's crazy once you like do dive deep into it and you see like all the things we were never taught, and things that you have to like now reprogram in your brain. Um, but
And you
the only
can't.
thing that
Hmm?
I think is good is like sucks for us, but the future will be better off for it. So like your two beautiful babies are now gonna grow up with all of these
Oh,
things, you know?
exactly. Well, that's what I was gonna say because, but that becomes our responsibility,
Right.
right? Because we can't blame our parents because our parents did what they were supposed to do. They were supposed to raise us to survive. Look at the environment and the times they were born into and
Right.
they were raised. Okay, some of them, couple generations back, it was literally life or death survive, not just make the bills survive. Okay, it's
Right.
like not making it home alive. So when you recognize that, you can like overstand the limited upbringing that you have. Like I did a live on Tuesday. Here's another cheap plug. I'm going live on Tuesdays, but don't come, y'all, because I'm still practicing. You know, I'm trying to get comfortable in front of the camera. So I'm talking to nobody
But
on
don't
live.
come.
Yeah, don't. Around lunchtime on Tuesdays, I'm going to go live. It's called Soul Talk Tuesdays, where we're going to talk about these mental shifts that help move from this trap America got us in.
Uh, cuh, cuh, cuh. Just kidding.
So yeah, so I do that talk, and part of that talk was talking about the fear that raised me. Like I wasn't raised. Of course, I was loved growing up. My parents, all they wanted to do was love us, but their form of love came through control, safety, and not and respect was built through fear. Okay, so I have to unlearn that. Actually, with me raising my kids right now, I have to be an active um parent in parenting myself,
Right.
reparenting or re-raising myself, so that way I can actually raise kids to not repeat this cycle that I inherited. And
Yeah.
that stuff
Oh,
is not easy. That's
right.
that shadow work, right? That they talk about, that shadow work, that self-development. But if we choose not to do that hard work, because who's teaching us if we don't have the ability to go investigate, know how to research, not just Google, not just talk to ChatGPT, like really learn, discover, read the stuff they ban you from reading, asking the questions they don't want you to ask, you
Mm-hmm.
know? If we don't take the time to do that, then we're not. It's gonna be sucks for us and sucks for the future too.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm glad to do it. Like my family, love them. Everybody's different, but it's like it is work. It's not easy to change your whole brain. And like, 20, 30, 40 years of the same stuff, and now you're like, that ain't true. So like you have to be patient and kind with yourself because those old thoughts will come back, and then you can just laugh at yourself like It was never true. So yeah, I mean, hey, we're here to learn. We're going through the motions,
And
uh,
unlearn.
and unlearn and relearn,
Unlearn.
and
Because you
then teach,
better
and then share, and then have the right conversations with the right people and uplift. So as long as we continue to do all of that, um, everything should work out great. But
listen. The other thing, because I know we're coming up on time, but that I want us to not speak about, because when we don't tap into the ancient traditional African spiritual traditions, we miss out on community connection. And when I think about how much family needs these types of rituals and practices that probably seem so foreign to us now, right? When we get into like circles, we get around the table, we have conversation, we have actual rituals like shit, nós não tem panutera. Like, what do we do with the panutera aside from just having it as decor? Maybe there's some type of ceremonial something. Like our people used to have, the rituals and the what do they used to call the, oh my gosh, on my tip of my tongue, when the like the young boys at a certain age they go through, somebody online has to know. Oh my goodness, it's like a transformation. They send them off and they come back as men. What is that called? The process of that.
um, not boarding school. I don't know.
Oh, oh my God, it's some type of pathway. Like here, they
Harder?
made it into like a 316. Rites of passage. Rites of passage. That's what it's called. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, passage, rites of passage. Those types of traditions that it's like it's normalized. This is part of what we do. Like you know how in Cabo Verde they shut down, they don't play. Everybody goes home for lunch. Everybody go home for lunch. You can come back, finish the work day, because that time with family, that communal, conversing together is extremely important versus like in the US, you come dinners at the table, everybody's got their dinner and, go sit, watch their, scroll through their stuff and, watch TV while they eat and then go about their business. Who's talking? Who's communicating? You have children in your house, you don't know who they are. Right? You live
Right.
with your partner. You how often are you really digging deep, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So those are things that if we were to be taught and able to be empowered and embrace that ownership, one, that we are the original spiritual beings, right? That we would be more connected to ourselves and each other. But they don't teach us that so we can remain disconnected and distracted. They don't want us to know that we have the magic and the power to create because they want us to consume, 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 consume. So they have that top 1%. Forget the three, the top
Right.
1% who can live the way they want to live and go to the space and go find new creatures and whatever their heart desires. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah.
Hey everyone, what's up? We're here talking spirituality, y'all. Let us know, what does spirituality mean to you? The Hidden Colors documentary really sparked so many levels of conversations for us. And it all plays to the levels we can reach, not in this world, but in this America. Ka, ka.
Right. Yeah. So as we wrap it up, we'll be here every other week with a new topic until we won't be here anymore. So we're
Yes.
back in 2 weeks, and then what's coming up for you between now and then? Like any special projects? Any you want to give any shout outs? Real
Oh
quick,
my.
keep plugs.
Yes, yes, definitely, y'all. Follow my stories so you can get the details. But this Sunday, the 25th, I'm gonna be in Boston with Mics for the Missing. It's National Children's Missing Day, and the numbers of missing children, especially Black and brown children, especially young girls in not America, but especially Boston and Massachusetts, is out of this. It's out of the world. Actually, just last year, the Congress, with the support of this organization, Mikes of the Missing, they deemed missing children, missing Black children, as a silent pandemic in the state of Massachusetts.
That's crazy.
It's wild. So we really need to like know that this isn't something that happens like at other places. Like it literally can happen right here in our backyard. So let's come out. It's going to be activities and information and a walk. So, dedication to those who never came found, and just making sure people can be preventative. So there's that. And then on the 31st, I'll plug the Unleashed Your Inner Badass. It's a empowerment event for empowerment, connectivity, um, and creativity. So it's just going to be a day to refuel, those of us who are out here hustling, working hard, working out, being mindful of our whole body and wellness while working, while building business, while dreaming out loud and taking inspired action. And we have to be, in good company around like minds and fuel ourselves. We'll have Zumba. We're going to be doing a mindful workshop as well as some painting. So it'll be fun. That's in Boston, and y'all can check my stories for the link to that as well. So shout out to Mindset Cultural Coaching, Nancy Arujo, who'll be there as the Master Empowerment Coach. I'll be hosting, so I hope y'all will come through. But yeah, that's what I got in the next 2 weeks.
That's awesome. Perfect.
Yeah. How about
Uh,
you?
Yeah, I mean, last weekend I was at this Love Conquers All event on the Esplanade. And it was a dope event. I was just vending there. I'm just trying to do more in the community with Divergent Divinity. Check out my website, divergentdivinity.com. So yeah, I created an awesome package that I have out there, uh,
Love.
selling and just basically just promoting my business, helping people see the divinity inside of them through
Yes.
spiritual counseling, through quantum healing, just through like tapping in, realizing who you are. Um,
That's why
so
we aligned here, sister.
yeah. And it's pretty cool. So my friend that I met her, we met about a year ago. This is like a side story, but if you can see how things are just like always working out for you, that they will eventually, and it's like, oh my gosh, so cute. So her and I met about a year ago at this event, and like it was an outside event. It was a new moon thing. So like we were around a fire pit. There were sound bowls. It was really nice. She didn't bring a blanket. I said, "Do you want to use my blanket?" So she
Mm.
did. We became friends. Whatever. Fast forward a year later to today. She joined the company that I work for, and today we did a podcast. We were just talking out loud, talking about the day we first met, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, what if we only met and went through that whole year of whatever we went through just so that we would start our podcast?" So,
Yeah.
like me and you too. What if in college we only met just so we would, like, today be
Yes.
here? Which is like a
That was the
crazy thing,
planting of the seed. Yeah.
right? Crazy to think of, like, when you meet certain people, and I love it.
Yes, the
Um,
alignment, because it's
yeah,
not
wow,
about it's about alignment, and I think we always try to find the right answer, but if it's not aligned, it's not aligned. You
right, yeah.
know,
So like you'll lose people, like sometimes you like people, you don't like people, you get a vibe, you don't get a vibe, but you're right, it's alignment. It's either for you or not. So
because that's the power of certainty, right? And when you know a thing and you trust the universe, you go after that thing, you play your part in what you can control, and then you trust in how the universe wants to deliver it to you and when.
right.
And
Just
that's
trust.
where that's where we mess up as humans sometimes, at least that's what I'm learning.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So in June coming, I'll post it. I have to figure out the dates, but I'll be at a couple other events. There's a Caribbean market in Boston. There's a wine festival that I'm going to be at. So just planting the seed and putting my name out there a little bit more. Um, and
Awesome.
the next couple of months. So I'm excited.
Awesome, awesome. I love that. Thank you so much. And yeah, I see in the chat we've got Di Crian says we know that June 1st, that's a holiday, a national holiday. Is that just in Cape Verde that's a recognized holiday? Is that everywhere? Dia Di Crian says, do we have a day of young people in America?
I think we do. I don't know if it's
If
June.
it's June, but in
Yeah.
New Bedford, I definitely gotta check my schedule for that on the 1st because I've been wanting to bring my kids to that. Thank you for sharing. Anything else y'all want to drop for us? Let us know what's going on worldwide. Thanks. It's worldwide June
Uh,
1st. Dia de Crianças. Awesome.
yeah, but we would
I
love
guess they
more
deserve a day.
people.
We have Mother's Day.
Right. It would be great to have y'all like join us in a future conversation. So definitely tap in and don't be scared to request to join.
Yes.
Right.
We'll let y'all know what next week's topic will be about. Um, yeah, we'll keep talking. We're gonna follow the topics that we addressed in the Hidden Colors review series. So feel free to check that out on YouTube as well if you want to get the, highlight review instead of watching the whole thing. But it is worth a binge watching, session. I'm not
Yeah,
gonna lie.
for sure.
Yeah.
I would agree. Worth the watch, but watch us until you watch them. I love it.
Yeah. Thank you so much. And if you are watching the playback, thank you too. Leave your comments. We'll see y'all in 2 weeks.
Sounds good. Bye.
Bye, y'all.